I'm very happy to have been asked to chair SAS. So in fact, this year, so in fact, my very first real paper, was at SAS in 2013, so 9 years ago. So I'm very happy to be able to be the chair of this conference 9 years later. It's really an honor. So I will just say a few things on what happened during the organization and, well, up until now, and what will happen next. So first of all, if you haven't seen it already, I know that now Twitter is a bit dying and everybody's moving to Mastodon, but anyway, we have a Twitter account. I've been tweeting about the talks up until now, but yeah, you're welcome to join and follow us. So I'll tell you a bit about the timeline. So the PC was formed around mid-March. So just to give you an idea, compare to past years. So I went back to 2013, which was my first, well, the first SAS conference in which I had a paper. So 10 years back to compare. So this is, the size is roughly on pair compared to previous years. The ratio of women is not as great as in some editions in the past, but it's not that we haven't tried. So in fact, we asked several women to join the committee, and they all declined, so we only could get 3. Instead, for the men, only 1 declined and all the others accepted. So we tried, but this is sort of the distribution of the members, where the members of the committee are from. You see there is a little bit of bias to France and Italy for historical reasons, I guess. But yeah, the rest is, we try to spread all over. So these are all the committee members. We have to thank a lot of them, well, thank them a lot for their work. I see Isabella there. So thanks. Most of the others couldn't be here and they're probably sleeping now, so they don't see this, but. Okay, so, yes, I forgot this. This was an interesting thing that I looked up. So we had several new members of the committee that have never served in a SAS committee, but then I also looked back at how many times some of the members have served on the SAS program committee, and it turns out that 3 of them have served on over 10 committees of SAS. So Francesco Ranzato served on 10 committees and chaired 1 of them, Patrick on 11, and the committee member that served on most SAS committees was Roberto Giacobazzi. He served 15 times. It's just a record for SAS. Okay, good. So at the end of April, we formed the Artifact Evaluation Committee. So we started artifacts in 2013, but the actual evaluation of the artifacts, so we started asking authors to upload artifacts to support the papers in 2013, but the actual evaluation of artifacts started later. So yeah, we continue this year with an Artifact Evaluation Committee. So this was chaired by Marc Chevalier. He's also not here. And we had several students and postdocs and researchers helping us with this work. Again, we should thank them all for their work. Very good. So what happened then was we set a deadline for registering the paper, at least on May 4th. So we had 2 categories of papers. Regular papers, and we had this neat papers, essentially on new results, experimental evaluation, experiments and applications and so on. And so we had 5 papers that chose this category. And as an interesting bit, if you're interested in that, we had 4 papers that were regular papers. So 4 of the regular papers were authored by PC members. So we gave 2 authors time to update their papers while the PC did the bidding, so about a week. In this time, 1 regular paper disappeared. So we were left with 43 regular papers and 5 neat papers. And at this point, we did an assignment. So we desk rejected 5 papers that had nothing to do with SAS or were autoscope or machine generated even. So the rest were assigned to PC members. So PC members had between 6 and 7 papers to review. And they had, Then we had the artifact submissions was about 2 weeks later. Initially was May 18th, then was moved to May 25th. And we got 16 artifact submissions. Good. This is on the submissions, comparing the numbers, again, back to 2013. In yellowish, you see the number of papers, and gray the artifacts. So you see the numbers of papers went a little bit up compared to the past 2 years at least, where things, well, I guess COVID interfered with that. So we're seeing a bit of an uptick. Still not as good as in the past, but yeah. And the artifacts were a little fewer than in the past. Good. This is thanks to EasyChair. We found out that it produces a lot of cute graphs, so we took some of them. So this is sort of a percentage of submissions that came from each country. So most submissions came from China and the US, then France, Italy, Germany, and so on. Good. And then in terms of authors per submission and submissions per author. So we had, for 7 papers, let me do it the other way around. So on the right, you see the number of authors per submission. So there were 4 submissions that had 6 authors, 2 submissions that had 5 authors, and so on. So most submissions had 2 or 3 authors. On the other hand here, we had the number of authors, how many submissions they had. So most authors had 1 submission, but there were 7 authors that were on 2 submissions. Good. Okay, so the PC had up until June 23rd, so a bit more than a month, to review the papers. So we tried to find experts for all papers, or at least reviewers with a high confidence. So we ended up having most papers with at least 3 reviews. Some papers had more, 4 or even 5 reviews. And the 0 ones, the 5 that you see with 0 reviews, are the desk rejected ones. The reviews that had, we looked at the statistics, about 584 words on average. So that was the length of the reviews. And then I was talking about the expertise. So we looked a bit, this is done manually, so it may not be very accurate, but we looked at the expertise and how the papers that were reviewed by experts or not. So essentially we had most papers for which we found at least 1 reviewer that had a high expertise. There was only 1 paper that only had medium confidence reviews. 4 papers had at least 2 expert reviews, 16 had at least 1 expert review. And sometimes these came from external reviews that we asked, either during the discussion or before the reviewing process, when we saw that some papers were maybe assigned to PC members that were not bidding for that paper or things like that. Okay, so after the reviews were in, authors had a chance to reply to the reviews. So 2 papers decided to withdraw at this point. And together with that, 1 artifact was also withdrawn because it came with the same paper. So we were left with 36 papers regular, 5 neat, and 15 artifacts. We then had a discussion, and we had a virtual PC meeting on July 13th. Here we discussed 8 papers, and then we sent the notifications. The outcome was, it's a bit hard to read, but so of the 8 papers that we discussed at the virtual PC meeting, we accepted 3. 2 of them were conditionally accepted, so we decided for shepherding these papers. The other regular papers, 8 were accepted, 3 went through shepherding, so conditional acceptance, and the neat papers, only 2 got accepted. For the artifacts, 8 artifacts in total were accepted, but 6 of them were for papers that got rejected in the end. So ultimately, of papers that were accepted that also had an artifact, we had 2, and other 6 artifacts were not without an accepted paper. Good, so we allowed, for the conditional accepted papers, we gave until the end of August to revise the submissions. We had the shepherds check on the revisions, and then we sent the final auto notifications on September 7th. So I'll give you a little bit more insight in what happened in the reviews. So we had you see before the chart on the submissions by country. Here is what happened to those submissions, again, divided by country. So you see some countries did better than the other. So Sweden did particularly well. China had a lot of submissions, but only few got accepted. And things like that. Again, this comes from Edith's chair. We thought that was funny. And this is for the expertise breakdown. So this was, again, something that we looked at manually. So of the 4 papers that had at least 2 expert reviewers, well, exactly 2 expert reviewers, 1 got accepted and 3 got rejected. Of those that had 1 expert review, we had 5 accepted and 9 rejected, and 2 were the withdrawn papers. And then finally, for those that had at least 1 expert reviewer with high confidence, but no expert reviews, it was about 50-50 acceptance. And then finally, the 1 paper that only had medium competence reviews got accepted after the discussion. So this was sort of interesting for us because we saw that apparently having more expert reviews makes our life harder for getting the paper in. So this was a bit funny. Very good. So then the camera ready was on September 16th. One thing I haven't written down because there was no space anymore, of these 4 PC papers that you see here, they all got accepted in the end, but they all went through shepherding as well. So that's also, so 2 of them got discussed in the PC meeting, and those are the 2 shepherded paper here, and 2 were accepted before, but again with shepherding. So we were also maybe stricter with the PC papers in the process, but we accepted them in the end. So what happens next is that some papers we'll discuss with the PC, and some papers will be invited for a special issue of formal methods in system design. This will come after the conference. And essentially that's it for this edition of the conference. I really want to thank again the PC, the Artifact Evaluation Committee, the student volunteers that help us. And also we have to thank our sponsors. We got more funding than we expected this year. So we got funding from Meta, from Google, from the ENS Foundation. The ENS Foundation sponsors the award, the Radio Cuso Award, and from Springer. And then last, We just have an announcement for next year. So what's going to happen to SAS 2023? So SAS 2023 will be again part of Splash in Lisbon. So the website still says that the dates are to be announced, but I saw a poster outside that says that it's at the end of October. And the chair will be Manuel Hermenegildo. He is looking for a co-chair at the moment. So I think that's all. Any questions? Yeah.
Any lessons
learned? What did we learn?
I guess one is that we should have more people on the PC to get the paper accepted.
You mean less expert reviews?
And also less expertise.
No, I don't know.
I mean, overall, I think that the static analysis area also is moving. We are seeing also, I mean, we saw already in the session we had papers on, and also the area needs to also move forward. And then the thing is that we had with the keynote, we tried to cover new applications of static analysis like quantum tomorrow, machine learning, reinforcement learning now. So we also have seen that we have papers from new application areas that was maybe not available like 9 years ago. We will not see much work in, for example, neural network verification, and now there's much more work. So I think it's also good for us to move with some applications areas in mind and then move the field forward, have a combination. What we tried to do was to have a program where we have the classical things well represented that people are really interested in, and also we wanted to have the new emerging applications as well, so that also inspires the new generation of students to get interested in static analysis.
Maybe in more technical lessons learned, maybe one thing was, for the artifacts, we had a lot of work done evaluating artifacts that in the end were not accompanied by unaccepted papers. So maybe we should revise this process in some way. That would be one question, at least, that came from the process. Other things, I don't know. I have to let a few days pass to let you.
And hopefully also we can have more in-person attendees next year, because a lot of people did not travel.
Can you shout when you want?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You had several artifacts accepted, but the next papers were not.
Yeah.
Do you have any that happened the other way around, where a paper was accepted, but it had an artifact that ended up being rejected?
I think so, but I don't remember. No, yes, we had some. I didn't check the number, actually, I forgot. But yeah, we had. I didn't check. I cannot tell you the number, but yeah, we had some in that case. I think maybe this year the artifact evaluation was a bit more strict compared to past years. Again, I didn't report the numbers, but I was looking at them briefly yesterday, and I think in the past the artifact evaluation had a higher acceptance rate than this year. So maybe we were too strict, or the artifact evaluation committee was too strict. I don't know. Yes.
Do you adapt the ACM badges next year?
I will suggest that to the next year, yeah. And also the thing with the criteria for awarding the badges, yeah. Okay. Yep.
One nice thing was the way the PC chairs or the organizers interacted on social media this time. It was probably unique to this event of SAS particularly, and that was good.
What? Sorry?
The Twitter was good.
The Twitter, yeah.
It was interesting. The posts were interesting.
Okay, good. Thanks. Yeah. So this year we tried harder to interact on Twitter compared to past years. We thought, yeah, that was a bit missing. And we hope this will be continued.
And if you guys have any comments about what we can do for next year, please let us know. We can try to communicate with the next VC chair.
We have the power now. We have the power now.
Like anything you would like in the process to be changed, improved.
Okay, if nothing else, thanks.